hello. It's a new day and a new walk. So loads of you know that I count myself as an activist. I'm a massive believer in getting out on the streets, demanding change, writing to corporations, boycotting corporations, standing outside Parliament, meeting with MPs, getting arrested. I was born believing that individuals can actually create change. But do you know what? I think the most important thing I do to create the future I want to see, the most important thing I do by miles, is in my parenting. Now that's not to say I'm a wicked parent, I'm a well good parent. In fact, I just kind of see myself as a bit of a try-hard in everything. I'm not perfect at anything. I'm a try-hard in lots of things. I'm gonna reclaim that word, try-hard. I've come to understand that there's three main ways that I can create a more beautiful and more just world through raising my children, and I'm just going to talk about those. So number one, it's in meeting needs. I'm indebted to my sister for this because she was the one, when my daughter Ramona was born, who gave me the big fat baby book by Dr. Sears. And it was a really great first read for me because when Ramona was born, I had all these instincts towards breastfeeding and co-sleeping and just keeping her really close. But this attachment parenting book taught me some of the science about why I might be feeling those things. When we meet our young children's needs by making sure they're fed when they're hungry, cuddling them when they need us, helping them feel safe and helping them feel heard. When we do that, we are showing them that they can trust the world, that they have been born into a world that has room for them and that they can trust it. And this actually wires the brain up so that from those early years they can become people who can approach the world with the sense of belonging and the sense of trust. My arms are really aching, so I'm just going to pause a little second. So I fell really naturally into co-sleeping and baby wearing, had Ramona and Gina in a sling nearly all of the time, and breastfeeding. But I actually don't think that building healthy attachments with your children relies on those three things. Some parents will be able to do them and others won't. But responding to your child's needs is really the key thing here. In those early years, the brain takes on a lifetime of wiring, and if your child can know that the world is a place where she will be loved, where she can be accepted, that is a world-changing thing. In fact, another book that I found helpful, The Science of Parenting, speaks specifically about when you leave a child to cry and don't meet her needs with cuddling or feeding, you create a lot of stress hormones in the brain. And Margot Sunderland says, society reaps what it sows in the way it nurtures its children, because stress sculpts the brain to exhibit several antisocial behaviours. It can set off a ripple of hormonal changes that permanently wire a child's brain to cope with a malevolent world. Through this chain of events, violence and abuse pass from generation to generation, from society to the next. They talk of a little study that was done of the Germans that helped Jewish people during the Holocaust, the ones that specifically hid them, and they tried to look at their early childhood, and they seemed to discover a common theme, and it was that they were socialized with dignity. So it was a time in Germany where parenting was really super strict and quite violent, but they seemed to notice a tendency in the adults that did quite radical acts of empathy towards people who were being oppressed and abused around them, that they had childhoods where they were treated with respect and dignity. Amazing, hey? Hit the road again. So that's number one, the number one thing I do. Actually, maybe I'll go here because there's loads of people on this track. It's like I double dare myself to walk around talking into the camera with the looks I get around here. I feel like being like, it's 2019, come on, everybody does this these days. Okay, so the second way is by treating my children with as much empathy as I can. So basically, empathy is my goal as a mother. I was really lucky to interact with Grille's work quite early in my parenting journey. And I remember so clearly him talking about empathy centers in the brain that we have and that are essentially activated by receiving empathy. So it exists, but we kind of wire it up and hit the function button by treating a child with empathy. When a child hurts themselves or experiences something sorrowful, our only job as parents is to empathize with them. And at the worst, we dismiss it or tell them to stop being upset, you know, oh shh, you don't need to make a fuss, or come on, be a big boy, stuff like that. But often well-meaning parents can fail to empathize by doing things like consoling or interrogating. So saying something like, oh, it's not your fault, or oh, how exactly did that happen? You know, and those can be quite well-meaning responses, but really the only thing we need to do is to hold space for our child while they're feeling everything they're feeling, allow them to feel it, and if your child doesn't get mad by it, just feed back to them what you're hearing. Say, that sounds really upsetting, I can hear you're frustrated, I can hear that's made you really angry. All we need to do to activate the empathy centers. We don't need to teach a lesson, however tempting that is. And later on, you know, when things are calm, there might be some kind of learning moment in there, or, you know, you might feel you could coach them for a future situation that might arise like that. But in the moment, all a kid needs is our empathy. And that is what will grow an empathetic human being. In a way, it's so basic. We should all be able to do it, but it's really hard because we as adults have all our own baggage and our own triggers, and we've got so much work to do. So I do fail on that, and I wouldn't want you to think that I crack that all the time. I really don't. Massive solidarity to you, to all the parents out there who are trying to do this right when we've got all our own shizzle going on. Oh, it's really exhausting. It's like a tiny hill. I'm gonna try and lie down. Oh. Okay, the third way that I see my parenting as quite a site for social change is by raising children within a relationship that represents all the good things I think human relationships should have. So seeing my relationship with my child as a kind of microcosm of what human relationships could be like. So I aim for unconditional love, radical acceptance, radical forgiveness, meeting of needs, mutual meeting of needs. I seek to really listen to them, to make heaps of space for them to share their views and their needs. I aim for non-judgment. I aim to share my power with them, to have them as agents of change within our relationship. I aim to be empathetic and to just make heaps of room for each other. And I feel like within our relationship is all the possibilities of all human relationships. And if I can model to my child what human relationships could be like, then when they move out through the world, they will be accepting, non-judgmental, unconditional, empathetic. They'll aim to share their power and make room for people to truly listen, to share from their heart. And can you imagine if all human relationships looked like that? The world would be a fundamentally different place. I don't know why I thought lying down on the grass next to the path would be a better look than walking along, staring at the camera, but whatever. I really believe that if children are regularly squashed or berated or mocked or coerced or manipulated, I believe that they are learning from the parent-child relationship how to exist, and that they will go from the home and berate and mock and coerce other people. And is that really what we want our kids to do? I know that we don't. I know that it's hard not to. But I wonder if we saw our parenting as the site of activism, as the site of world change that it is, if we'd be more prepared to do the work, to get the therapy, to begin the healing, to take the time out for self-care, if we'd be more prepared and more willing to do the work that could allow us to be those parents that we know we can be, or that we aim to be. So yeah, I guess it's just a little invitation to really see your parenting as the super important thing it is. Not beat yourself up about it, but just be a try-hard. like me, join Club Try Hard and try and bring more of the elements you think all human relationships should have and should be built on into your relationship with your child. Knowing that if we raise a generation in this way, we truly could see the world we dream of. Yeah, so comments are still disabled. So annoying. Possibly thinking about starting a new YouTube channel. I'd love to hear your stories and your comments on this though, so do pop over to Instagram and Facebook. Tomorrow I'm doing a live stream for my patrons, just deepening into this topic, answering questions and just expanding on some of the stuff I've spoken here. You can click the link below to see more about Patreon and check out my Instagram and Facebook. If you want more reading as well on this topic, I'm linking some of my favourite books in the description box as well, so do check those out. Wherever you are in the world, much love to you, and stay radical, and solidarity if you are also just a try hard. Mwah!